Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Speak Life podcast. We are so excited to have you with us for another wonderful week. I am your host, Minister Phoenix, alongside my guest co-host for yet another week. He deems himself God's gift of controversy. You know him, you love him, y'all love what he does when he's here. It's your boy. Introduce yourself to the people. Or reintroduce yourself, because you I don't think you're a guest anymore.
I don't know. I think I'm a permanent member of this entity at some point in time. I'm Kay.
You can claim your spot there.
Huh?
I said you can claim your spot there. Permanent guest co-host.
Yeah. Making my monthly peekaboo on with the fire and ice of this Speak Life podcast. And we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about.
I don't know. People seem to like you for some reason.
Glad somebody does.
Your internet presence is not as enjoyed as your time on the podcast. It seems like the people enjoy having you here. I'm appreciative of you taking the time to come out and rock with us. So we're happy to have you. Shout out to all our listeners, all our subscribers, all the ones who rock with us week after week. We appreciate y'all. Y'all are the ones who keep us going and really keep us, at the point where we want to do this. So we thank y'all for tuning in. Now, this week's going to be interesting because there's a few pieces that goes along with this. And this week, we are going to jump into another interesting topic. I don't know, anyone online has probably seen these memes where, especially around stimulus time, you always see people like, yo, don't spend your stimulus money on this or on that, but yo, go grab that LLC and start a business. And so today we are going to jump into this topic of entrepreneurship, and it should be interesting. I know there's a lot of things that go along with this. I'm no expert, but I'm just going to go off of our thoughts of what we think, the do's, the don'ts, and everything in between, creating your own business, starting your own business. This is one of those big things that people want to know about. So I think this is going to be interesting.
Got to get my jelly beans because it's Easter.
Are those Starburst jelly beans?
You know it.
I got some of those upstairs too. I had like 2 bags of those. All right, let's start this conversation off.
Starburst needs to sponsor some fire nights.
Starburst needs to definitely jump on some sponsorship. I will spend some time eating. By the way, Starburst has not sponsored this episode, but if you would like them to, feel free to tag them in the comments. I might tag them in the comments. Starburst, holla at us. We love y'all candy. Both the jelly beans and the regular ones. They are bomb. Even the Starburst minis. We love y'all. Sponsor the podcast. All right.
Shameless plug for Starburst jelly beans.
Shameless plug for Starburst, who is not sponsoring us as of yet. I'm going to say as of yet because who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
No.
So just to start off this conversation, talking about entrepreneurship, in your opinion, how important would you say it is for a person to really own their own business? Now, this one's a tricky one. I got my thoughts on it. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
How important is it?
Yes.
It's not for everybody. It's not something that's important for everybody. Everybody can't start their own business. Everybody can't run a business. In life, there's some people that are meant to be owners and there's some people that are meant to be workers.
But I always see all these people online on Twitter like, yo, go grab that LLC, start that business, get it going. So
I see a whole bunch of people telling me they drink tummy tight tea and they're still fat. So what are we really going to talk about? What do you want to talk about?
I wasn't ready for the tummy tight tea. I'm gonna be real. The tummy tight tea.
People say they do a whole lot of things, but obviously it's not for everyone. And starting a company, entrepreneurship, and self-employment isn't something that everybody is built for. You know what I'm saying? Some people are built to be workers. Some people are built to be owners. Some people are built just to be lazy and sit on their couch and complain. You know, the American way right about now.
All right. So I had some thoughts about this, you know, and I like I said, I see a lot of people talk about grab the LLC, start the business, go and hop in, get your own business started. And I think for me, when it comes to the business aspect of things, I always think about legacy. I'm always thinking about, you know, with, you know, my children coming along, I want to be able to leave them something that, you know, they can have as their own to be able to build that wealth. So I know, like you said, you know, it's not for everybody, you know, we'll go into that piece a little later. But I think for really building legacy, I think it is one thing that you can do to get yourself on that track, in my opinion. I'm no expert, but I do think building wealth and building a legacy that, you know, you can pass down to the generations to come. I think having some sort of business model to leave, some sort of skill set to leave your children that they can build on is really a step in that direction. Now you you talked about a whole bunch of stuff that I was really going to get into, but thinking about this whole business thing is like, you know, what are some of the reasons that you feel like an individual should start a business? Like, if you was like, I think you really should think about considering starting your own business, building your own, you know, empire or whatever you want to do.
This is perfect. I heard a quote on, I think it was Warren Buffett's podcast. He said, "My plan is to create so much general wealth that I think it was like 20 generations of my lineage would never have to work and contribute to society."
Oh my goodness!
Like 20 generations.
First off, how do you even gain that type of mindset? That's the first. That's the first thing.
I said that's to get me, so I don't have to work in a company or work for society. But this man was like, I think it was like 20 generations. Like, where do you start something like that?
How do you start
something like that? You know, if you look at, let's say, Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, you know what I'm saying? He started a company basically not really out of nothing, because he had a little bread to start it up. But now he's a multi-billionaire. It's like you have the ability to make something or own something or produce something to make it so that your kids don't have to work. That's deep. Because if you look at it, let's look at us as a society as a whole. You tell someone you make six figures, they think they're doing something. They're like, "Oh, wow, I'm making over $100,000 a year." When really, in the grand scheme of things, you making more than the average person, but you really ain't making nothing. What is it? 2% of the country's wealth is what? 90% of the country's wealth is owned by 2% of the population.
That's crazy to even think about.
Then it's like, okay, what do you own? Besides your pension or your 401k, you know what I'm saying? What really do you own, or what really do you have that's of some wealth? You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to give your kids? Your life insurance when you die? Like, if you look at other cultures, they have a lot more to build on than we do. We've been in this country as long as any other race in this country. We've been here. And we don't control, let's even say 10% of the wealth. That's ridiculous.
I seen a stat, and it said in comparison to, I believe it was like the median Caucasian family, they have a median of $170,000 of wealth, whereas the median Black family has about $17,000. Like, so it's like literally 10% of.
Does that not make you cringe?
Our white counterparts have. But I feel like there's a lot that goes into this, and I know we talk like me and you, we've had this conversation before, and I think about historical context of when Black people had the opportunity to really build wealth, and when we started doing it on our own. It's like, for example, Black Wall Street. It was on and popping. They ain't like it. They burnt it to the ground. Like, you have all these different times where it's like, they say pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and we do it, but then it's like when we do it because they don't like it, it's like, no, we're gonna take
All right,
hotels off the monopoly board.
I'm gonna stop you right there. How long are we going to use that excuse that we can't do it?
Oh, I'm not for the excuses that we can't do it.
Just hold on. They built up a plethora of wealth during segregation and everything else. We have so many revenue streams that we could be into or vested into, and we have one of the greatest things in the world called the internet. Where no matter what you want to do or what you want to do or whatever you plan to do, you can just hit Google and find it out, YouTube it, do whatever. You know what I'm saying? And we still haven't gotten to a point where we even control the wealth within our own society, let alone society as a whole. It's like someone we say support Black business. But do we really? It's like, okay, there's a Black-owned business that has, let's say, a soap, but we'll still go to the supermarket and buy the other soap or whatever else we want. Like, there's a Black sneaker company called Rock D, right? They make sneakers that are. There's a Black sneaker company called Rock D. Originally, they started out their sneakers. Everything that they made was under $100. To make it affordable and fashionable for people to wear, people of color to wear, or just people in general, but generally for us, by us per se. Now, you can pay $200 to $300 for a pair of Jordans, but you can't pay $100 for a pair of sneakers that's generated by someone who looks like you. You know what I'm saying? You don't know the CEO of Nike. You ain't even gonna you'll hear from him in like a executive quote or some kind of X, Y, or Z.
Press conference or so forth.
This dude gets online and he's talking to the people. Like, he's telling them what's coming out, what's going on, X, Y, or Z. But let your kid wear a pair of Rock Deeps to the park, everybody's gonna clown him, as opposed to celebrating like, oh wow, that's a Black business, those are Black sneakers. Let's jump on that. Yo, that's hot. Glad you supported that, man. It's when people try to do things outside of the norm, or not even the norm, out of what I like to call the mass media guppy society, we, instead of embracing them and uplifting them, we make fun or we talk trash.
Ooh, I got a question.
Go ahead, bro. You know me. I got the jelly beans and I'm ready.
You might catch a lot of flack on this one.
I'm about to flack. Bring it.
You might be catching smoke from all sides.
Bring it.
So at the point that we're at, you make some good points with with the resources that we have to be able to find out how to make business models, for example, formulate the kind of businesses that you want. So, in your opinion, this is just your opinion, are we at a point where we no longer have an excuse for some of the things that we're not taking advantage of?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You want to know what the hardest part about starting a business, owning a business, and running a business is?
Yeah, I want to know. Tell me.
You ready? Because you started. It's actually getting up and doing the legwork and the work that needs to be done to get it going. The first step, once you get past that,
definitely the hardest.
You're good. 98% of these people out here who want to start a business or have an idea don't even take that step. You want to know what the number one problem for people not starting their own businesses and doing their own things? Fear of failure.
I think that's huge. No, we talked about that early on in the podcast, how fear can really cripple you from accomplishing anything. And I wonder, and this is one of the things that I wonder. We talked about, people who should start a business. I feel like there are so many people who have so many amazing ideas and they never really take advantage of them. They have so many different things that they could offer society, offer the world, that they could, make a living off of. And when I say this, I think that, there's people that God gives amazing talents to be able to generate wealth, but there's a lot of times where we don't take advantage of it. And I know for me, one of the things that I set in my mind, I heard my bishop say it, he's like, I want to go to my grave empty. And I'm like, this year, if no other year, I'm like, this year, I want to do everything that I can to use my talents to be able to generate wealth, to build, to build this company. And I think one of the things that pushed me in that is this thought of, being able to leave something, leave my children with a skill set to be able to generate their own wealth, so that if the time comes where they don't want to have to work for someone, they won't have to. If they want to continue running the business, feel free, they can run the business. If they want to, who knows? If it becomes huge and they just want to sell off their shares to it, if it becomes like, a multi-billion-dollar company, fine, sell it off too. But the goal is to be able to leave something for the generations, at least 4 or 5 generations down the line, like Walmart. That was built by a family. McDonald's. These are all things, legacies that were built by people. Like half of these names from these clothing companies, like Gucci, Prada, are things that were started, from a family who had the vision to start these things and build that legacy. So I look at that and I'm like, you know what? If you have a vision for what you want to see come to pass, if you have a vision for something you want to do, I feel like you do it in it's an injustice to yourself. You do yourself a disservice to not do that. And like you said, sometimes the hardest thing is the first step, taking that step, to say, what, this is what I want to do. I'm gonna take that first step to do it. And fear of failure is huge. Fear of failure is huge. But one of the things that, if I could say, the only time you are absolutely guaranteed to fail is the time that you don't do it. You don't do it, you automatically lose. The worst that can happen when you actually jump into it is that you succeed. But if you nothing tried, nothing succeeds. If you can't get nothing out of nothing, you got to do something if you want to see something come through.
I'm gonna do my church finger and intervene.
Your church finger? Oh boy.
You know what another problem people have is?
Talk about it.
Giving a flying boop about what somebody else is gonna say about it.
People always got something to say, man.
Like, they talk about Jesus Christ. They're gonna talk about you too, bro. Like
that is true.
No matter what dream you have, there's always gonna be that person that defecates on your dream. See, I found a better word to use.
I like that. You're using vocabulary. I appreciate that.
Yes. You're gonna have always be someone that defecates on your dream. You know why they want to defecate on your dream? Because they ain't got no dreams themselves. Or the dreams they have, they don't even want to go chase.
That might be a word.
They ain't got a dream themselves, or they're scared to go chase their dream. So it's easier to talk trash about you as opposed to taking that energy and investing in yourself, in their self, and start their own or chase their own dream, or even take that same energy and support you. It's easier to talk about you because guess what? And then when you fail, it's like, oh, I told you so. To help me, you didn't do nothing to support me. And a lot of people, that's their problem. Unlike me, I really don't care what you think about me, because guess what? You don't pay my bills, you don't live with me, you're not my wife, you're not my kid. I don't care, because what can you really do that can affect me that I haven't been through in life already? You take what I'm saying?
I was having this same conversation on Saturday. I was having this conversation on Saturday. I was out by the garage talking to one of our family members, and they were sharing how, whenever whenever they get the idea to want better for where they are, they always catch opposition. People like, you know what? Oh, you think you too good? Oh, you think you better than me? And it's like people will always have something to say if you whatever you're doing. If you're doing bad, they're gonna talk
But
about
you know what I would have said to that? I would be like, yes, I do, because I don't want to be there.
No,
I don't want to be where you are. Sorry. If you choose to stay stagnant in the same place and I choose to be better, if you take that as me better than you, guess what? I'm better than you.
Oh man.
Oh well.
You're trying to fuel the fire. That's not what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I have no problem with like, so okay, I want better. Oops.
But everyone should want better.
Huh?
Everyone should want better. And this is the piece I want to touch on right here. You know, you mentioned this earlier. I want you to jump in this a little deeper. Is everyone meant to be an entrepreneur? Is everyone meant to be a business owner?
No. 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 Oh, yes, and no. Like, I have friends that are the most talented people in the world. I got a friend who can put audio designs in cars and do everything from the ground up. But when it comes to running the business aspect of a company, he's not the best at it. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't know how to balance the books. He doesn't know how to write invoices. He doesn't know how to price things to a point where he makes profit. He doesn't know how to tell his friends no. You know what I'm saying?
That's an important quality.
We're going to get on ways to keep your business going and how to brand and do everything else. That's later on in this discussion. Don't jump topics. But anyway, and again, there's some people that have talents, but their talent isn't meant to run a business. They need to be a part of something because they don't have that ability to be a leader. Not everybody can be a leader. Let's just understand this. Everybody doesn't have that as the word I like to say, that dog in them, that fight in them. Like everybody doesn't have that ability to be like, yo, I'm gonna run this. It's gonna be successful. Oh well. Some people need to be led. That's how this world is. We run off of guppies. Guppies power the engine.
That's very interesting. I remember when we used to work in security, we used to have this saying, and it's not a very politically correct saying. So for all my indigenous people, please forgive me. But they used to say, you know what? We have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. You know? Because everyone wanted to be the boss, but no one wanted to do the work. And I feel like with that piece, you do have individuals who are better suited to be in a part of contributing and not necessarily leading. And it's not to say that they can't do it, because you can learn to be a good leader. Some things don't come natural. Some things you do have to learn. And in that leadership piece, and this is something that I learned from this leadership seminar that I took with this amazing woman, Dr. Olivia Roberts. She's great, but she was teaching us in this seminar. She's like, you know, you don't have to, as a good leader, you don't have to know how to do everything. You just have to know, like, if you can get someone who knows how to do that, then you good. You just put all the moving pieces in place. Like, I don't need to be, you know, the best graphic designer to be running this media company. I could hire someone that knows graphic design inside and out, and they can run that division. You just have to know how to find the people to really put them in place. And in that sense, I think that a lot of people, there's a lot of tools that we don't take advantage of if we really wanted to do it, so that we can be better at it. Because there's a lot of things that we don't know. At least me, there's a lot of things I don't know. But if we really seek out the resources to be able to figure it out, I think we can. Honestly, there's times where I was wondering, do I really want to start this business? You know, being a teacher and thinking like, do I really want to be working towards building this? Do I really want to actually jump into this? I'm feeling quite happy with just going to work, getting paid and letting my pension build up. But at the end of the day, it's like for me, it was like, that's all good and well, but I want more than just Stop with the church finger.
Excuse me, minister.
All right, go. What you got?
You mentioned there's a whole bunch of resources at the fingertips of everybody to get them. What are some of those resources that these individuals can get, sir? Where do you go to find these resources?
You can go right on to Al Gore's internet. That's because I'm Al Gore's internet.
You ain't poop.
Al Gore's internet. Like, listen. Like, I remember when, like I said, I was in this leadership seminar, and she was like,
excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Before you go into one of your elongated stories.
It's not going to be long. I'm good. It's to tell you about the importance of the internet.
So when you say the internet, can you please elaborate exactly on what you mean by the internet? Because we say the internet, people can be like the black web, YouTube.
I'm going to be really simple because, and this is why. We were talking about starting a business, and it was like, you need to register your business. It was like, go to your state website and register your LLC or whatever you want to do. I was like, I don't know nothing about that. So I went to this amazing search engine known all over the world, Google. I went on Google, Google.com, the search. Oh, you don't even got to do the .com anymore. You just type Google into your search bar. If you're like me and Chrome is your default browser, right when you hit the internet, Google is right there waiting for you. It's like, hello,
no, minister.
What are you looking for today?
Yes, Lord.
I typed it right into the search bar. How do I register my LLC in Massachusetts? Sent me to the website.
Yeah.
It had the directions for me to do it.
Tell them again for the people in the back of the pulpit. Well,
you better use that Google search bar. That search engine is very useful.
Mm-hmm.
And like literally, if you want to set up a business, if you're trying to figure out business models, if you're trying to find what forms you need to have for even invoices, you search on Google. You can go on YouTube. YouTube. Oh my goodness. I call it YouTube. You can go on YouTube and search up a video for anything. Anything. How to fix a car. If you want to be a mechanic, how do I fix this car? If you trying to learn photography, so many different resources. If you're thinking, I don't know, I don't do the clothes thing. That's not my department. I do like the media and stuff. Like, as you can see, we on the podcast. I was like, what do I need? What do I need to get this podcast started? You know what I did? I went on Google. I typed it in. I looked at some of the people whose podcasts I follow. Looked at some of the resources they give me. And it's like,
church finger. I think you made a key point is if you want to start a business, sometimes it's good to look at businesses that are already established in the genre that you're going to.
And successful. Don't just look at any business. Look at the successful.
Sometimes you gotta look at the unsuccessful ones to see what they're doing so you don't do them too.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? Don't look at the good ones. Look at the ones that fail and look at why they failed and how that one thing led to another. But it's always good to look at other businesses that are successful and what they're doing and even do the history on how they got to where they got to. You know what I'm saying? That's always something that you want to do being an entrepreneur. You also want to look at what your marketplace is. Look at the market you're trying to target with what your business is. These are branding advice and tools that I like to give people. I should be charging, but I'm giving it to you for free.
Y'all better. I always tell people, man, you come into these episodes, you need to have a notebook because it may be something that you need to jot down. And I know they probably go back and watch it again anyway. But if you want to spare yourself watching it again, I'm not for it. You can watch it again. You can watch it 10 times. I like the views, but definitely take down notes because it really does help. Really does help. And one thing that you said that was amazing is your target audience. And that was a big thing, especially when we was writing the book. It was like when we was working with our publishing specialists, they're like, listen, you got to figure out who you're trying to target with this product that you're doing. You're writing this book. Who's the audience that you're trying to target with this? And then you got to tailor it to your audience. You don't want to just say, you know what, I'm just making it too general. because then you're gonna miss out on everyone. But if you target in, you zero in on where your market is towards, it helps you to focus on what you're trying to do and really build your brand around reaching that audience, finding out what trends are touching that target audience. I really like that hat, by the way. You want to tell people about that hat real quick?
We get into that in a minute, but let's. And we're gonna tie everything in. We're gonna tie everything in.
All right, that's cool.
We're gonna let the words seep in, and then as we get into everything, we can start going into stories. I just want to keep them understanding that what we are saying on topic. Okay, like I have one of the questions we wrote down is if you could give someone advice that wants to start their own business, what piece of advice?
No, don't give them that yet. They ain't ready for that yet. Don't give them that yet. Don't give them that yet. Okay. Let's talk about the important things you need. Important things you need, in your opinion, to be an entrepreneur. We'll give them some nuggets before we leave, but what are some things they're starting this business? You talked about, looking at other businesses. You talked about, looking at successful ones and even failing ones. Give them some more things that they definitely want, to look into before they get started.
All right, but okay, let me see. Before you get started, one, know what your skill set is. Know what you can do.
Know what you can.
As it relates to your business, and know what you can't. Know where your weak points are and what avenues you're going to go through to strengthen those avenues that you have, those weaknesses that you have. Because you're only as strong as your weakest point. And you can jump in and go head. You can go head on. Boom, I'm with it. Go for it. Rah, rah, shish, kumbah. But you need to know what the business you're starting, where you want to go with it, what your limitations are based on your resources, whether it be financial, time, staffing. Like some people can cook real well and they're like, oh, I want to be a caterer. Okay, well, can you cater all kinds of events, or can you just cater West Indian events, or can you just cater towards a certain niche? Do you have enough people if you want to run an event? Do you have access to a wholesale distributor of meat, produce, other things, as opposed to you going to Stop and Shop and spending way more than you need to? It's a matter of trying to find out the nuances and the ways that you could save money, time, and energy. Because the most important thing with anything that you do is time. Time is more valuable than money. Time is more valuable than anything else. Because once you lose time, you can't get it back. And the worst thing is to lose time off of something that could have been prevented. If you knew that you could have spent 1 hour researching your business and it would save you 2 to 3 weeks because you made this mistake, then it's kind of dumb. That's a dumb utilization of your time and your resources. It's like, okay, you learned everything you need to learn in the first five years of school. You learned how to read, write, do math. Any business that's the basics you're going to have with any business. If you don't know something, you go find something. The first thing you do is they hand you a book to read it. You know what I'm saying? Second, 1 + 1 = 2. And you have to understand how to make money off of what you're doing. You want me to really get deep on it? You want me to go street on it? Or you want me to just keep it tidbits?
Hey, you got to make the people understand, because that's the big thing. I'm gonna chime in, but I like where you're going with this.
Listen, there's 2 types of businesses that you can have. And I call it in street terms, a resource, a business where there's no re-up, and a business where there is a re-up.
Gotta tell them.
Okay, so a business where there's no re-up is something that you can use your intellectual talent to make money. Whether it's being a party planner, or let's say you're a plumber, your intellectual resource of knowing how to put everything together, you really don't even have to buy the stuff because the client's buying the stuff. So you have no real cost except for time in what you do.
And maybe an initial investment or two, maybe.
Yeah, but that comes.
But that,
But,
yeah,
but that's initially like you know what I'm saying. You're not gonna be a party planner and not have a laptop.
that's true.
You know what I'm saying? But like I call those like no re-up hustles, where your intellectual ability is all you need in the time to do that. Then you have, which I call the re-up hustles, where if you make clothing, you gotta keep coming up with new product. Or if you're a baker, you gotta get stuff to bake. But the baking can kind of go into the to non-re-up. They can go back and forth, but mostly if you have to get something to make that money and then take that money and then buy something else to get back into that money, that's a re-up hustle.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And out of hustles, any hustle where you have to re-up on a product is going to be a harder hustle than something where you're just selling your intellectual ability. Because with your intellectual ability, you don't need a place to store the product. You don't need anything. All you need to do is have one, good quality with whatever skill or product you're providing. You know what I'm saying? Be on time and self-promote. That's all you need. Like those hustles right there, there's no reason why you can't make a boatload of money and be independent. You know, and as you go on, you might have to get the licensing or the insurances, but ultimately, your cost is far less than the cost of someone that has to go get a product, modify that product, and then put it out. You know what I mean? Like I say, plumbers, electricians, them skill trades.
Like the
Those dudes
trade-
they're always going to have bread, and they can always modify and make things when they're independent and they want to start their own business. Whereas, let's suppose take someone who does clothing, someone who does knitting, sewing, or even baking. You got to bake the cake, but like I said, for me, the easiest hustle probably would be the non-re-up hustle if you got that intellectual skill. You got intellectual skill to do whatever it is that you do. You know what I'm saying? And those guys, not everybody can be in there, but not everybody can be in the other one. So you figure out what lane your entrepreneurial vision gets in. You know what I'm saying? So if you can get into the non-re-up hustle, the amount of money that you're going to make is going to be far quicker than where you're taking your money, reinvesting it back into you, then reinvesting it back into product, then reinvesting it back into growing the business. The non-re-up hustle, the re-up hustle is harder, you know what I'm saying, than the non-re-up. And I hope you people who are reading this know what a re-up is. Because I tend to go a little street because that's where but re-up means that you pick up a product and then you sell it at a higher price than what you originally bought it for. That's called the re-up. So if you buy a bag of chips for $3 and you sell it for $10, you flip the profit. Now, once you run out of chips, you got to go get the re-up on the chip. So you got to re-up the chips so that you make that next $10. That is called the re-up in basic language. That's re-up for dummies.
Re-up for dummies, one-on-one.
Yes.
One of the things that you said that really struck with me was, you have to know what you're good at and you have to know what you're not so good at. And I think more knowing what you're not so good at is a lot more important than recognizing what you're not so good at is sometimes more important than knowing what it is that you're good at. Because as you said, you're only as good as your weakest link. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So being able to find individuals or find ways to cover or strengthen that weakness, I think is very important. And especially when it comes to working in your own business. Like no one wants to be unsuccessful at this, going in. It's always that fear of starting and getting started because there's that fear of failure. But it's like, I always think like you have to have some sort of vision or business plan of how you're going to get this working. Like you can't just say, you know what? I'm just going to get up one day. I'm going to go start a clothing company. But you ain't got no idea of what you're going to do. Any designs, anything like that. You're just like, you don't even got a name. You're just like, I want to start a company. I feel like you have to have some sense of business model of how you're going to run this company that you're starting, some sort of business plan of how you're going to get things up and running before you can just jump at it. You know, you can't just blindly think, you know what, one day you're going to get up and start a business and it's just going to happen like that. These are
walk by faith, baby. Walk by faith, baby.
Walking by faith. Yes, I understand that. But before you get to walking, you have to have some sense of destination. And I think that's a big piece of it. You have to have some sense of vision and destination of where you're trying to get to.
See, but then here goes where I'm going to throw a curveball at you.
Throw your curveball. I'm going to swing.
You would think that I would agree with you on this.
No, I don't. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. When I come into these episodes, I come in here absolutely anticipating that you're not gonna agree with anything that I say.
I'm totally different. I'm like, hey, if you got a plan, good, but just jump in. Just jump in.
Just jump in.
Jump in. Just jump in. Just get out the bed and jump in.
Yikes!
What happens is when you jump in, you're gonna learn from the mistakes you made. And then when you go through those trials and tribulations, it lets you know if you really want to be in the business that you set yourself up to be in. You get what I'm saying?
I wouldn't even thought about that one.
You come up I find that people who are the smartest and best planners to do things never start a business.
Because they think they're self out of it.
They think exactly.
I will say that. I will definitely say that piece. When I say, you know, have some sort of plan, I don't want you to overthink it to the point where you're like, you think yourself out of it, because that can happen. That could definitely happen.
I say like this: you just jump in, and you either sink or swim. And then from that time, because I don't know about anybody else, when I'm getting my face kicked in with life, it's like, hold on. I got to learn what I'm doing so that I don't keep getting peppered with punches. You know what I'm saying? You get hit in the face a couple of times, you learn to put your hands up. You learn to bob. You learn to weave. You might not even want to be in the fight. You know what I'm saying?
There's definitely a lesson.
So it's like, I find that when I overplan to do stuff, I don't get anything done. I don't get anything done. You know what I'm saying? When I just jump in and put myself in a situation where I have to perform, like I said, the dog in me is not going to let it happen. The dog in me is not going to let me fail because I've been through too much in life that I'm not going to let this one situation.
But everyone ain't built like you, sir.
Okay, so can I give you a story?
Give a story.
I'm gonna give you a story.
I'm the king of stories, but I'll
Mine's totally different.
Give me a story.
You know, I started a clothing line with a couple of friends from college. Mm-hmm. Clothing line had many opportunities to grow and become bigger and do all kinds of things. But because also, that's another thing. If you're gonna work with someone else, make sure you guys have the same mindset. Make sure you have the same.
Tell them that again. That's important.
If you are working in conjunction with another individual, you want to make sure that you and that individual's mindset are the same. Where you see the company, how you want the company to be viewed, how you want the company's branding to go, how you want the company to grow, and which avenues you want to go to.
It sounds like the vision for the company.
That's if you're working with somebody. You're working with somebody, because when you're self-owned, self-run, you can flip flop whatever you want. So I work with these 3 kids from college. You know, I'm putting up all my money. The company's taking off, but it wasn't growing. You know what I'm saying? We were just basically covering costs. We were basically covering the re-up costs and putting something up. It wasn't making any money. We were just barely making ends meet. And the reason why we didn't grow is because our vision wasn't the same. My vision was to go one route, their vision was to go to another, and it just kept going down, down, down. So, me being who I am, I tell everybody, I'm going to do my own clothing line. Everybody's like, okay. And I would talk about so many different, like, how many times I talk about a vision with you? Like, I'd be like, I want to do this. You'd be like, okay.
Do it. I'd be yelling at you like, do it.
Talk to somebody else, be like, why don't you do it? Then someone else be like, why don't you do it? But it's like, yo, I'm gonna do this. Why don't you do it? I said, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I sent the email, I sent the text message out. I sent it to you, I sent it to my sister, I sent it to all of my friends. It was like, yo, I'm gonna do a $60 merch packet for my new clothing line. Everybody was like, okay, here's the $60, here's the $60, here's the $60, here's the $60. Guess what, folks? I ain't have a design. I ain't have a shirt that I was gonna do. I ain't had anything. I had ideas like floating around.
God.
But I'm just like, you know what? Boom. So then when people started giving me their money, I'm like, oh wow, here goes people that believe in me more than I believe in myself that I can do it. So what did I do? Just got on my horse, started riding. Got online, had a couple ideas in my head, found people, like I can draw, I can design, I can do everything. But I know there's people out there better than me. So I went to one of the many resources that are out there. I'm not going to tell you people, because if you want to start a clothing line, you're going to be my competitor. And I'm not going to help you. That's just me. Keep it a buck with you.
Can't give out trade secrets sometimes.
Another thing, if you have a business, and I know some people are going to think I'm a real dirtbag when I say this. If I have a clothing line and you have a clothing line, and your clothing line is in the same lane as my clothing line, I'm not telling you what I know to help you, because guess what? Even though we're friends, you're my competition.
You're the competitor.
You're my competitor.
And I don't think that's really I wouldn't say that's a dirtbag move, but people have to realize that, you know, you can't, it's like trade secret. Dunkin' Donuts would not give out their trade secrets to Starbucks.
Can I finish my story? I always let you finish yours.
Come on.
Let me finish. So got online, came up with like 12 designs like that. Then I came up with like, okay, what kind of fabrics I'm going to use, what shirts I'm going to use, what hats I'm going to do. So then what did I do? I took everybody's money and was like, here goes your merch pack, 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 here goes your merch pack. Basically, boom. Then now the word of mouth is growing, the company's growing, and now there's people making orders, and I'm feeling good that it's going to be to where I want it to be. And so now I have no choice but to put my behind in the CEO seat and keep rolling out product. So that's what I mean about jumping into it and just getting it done. You already know what you can do. Sometimes you just need to put yourself out there to get it done. Like, for example, if you can cook and all of a sudden you're like, yo, maybe I can make a couple of plates on Sunday to sell for $5, $10. Cost me ultimately $3 to make that plate. I'm going to sell it for 10. Guess what? I made a $7 profit. You just keep doing that and working what you want to do. It's like, you got to put yourself, you know, my favorite line, you got to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation.
Mr. Uncomfortable.
For you to grow. Because if you're comfortable, you ain't going to grow. If you're comfortable, you ain't going to do what you need to do. So you need to put yourself in those situations where you're forced to sink or swim. If you fail when you're comfortable with failing, you're a failure. That's on you. If you're comfortable with failing, you're a failure. And guess what? You're meant to be a worker to be a boss or a leader. And guess what? I'll definitely hire you. Anyway, but again, if you're comfortable with failing, you're a failure. You know what I'm saying? You really have nothing to offer to the world or the universe. But if you're uncomfortable with failing and you want to push yourself to be better, then that's what you do. And
I'm convinced that no one is comfortable in failure.
I disagree.
I think that it is.
I think there are some people who are very comfortable in failure.
I cannot believe that.
No, you don't want to believe that.
I refuse to believe that.
You have to believe in the good of all mankind. But I want to tell you that people are comfortable being failures.
I don't think so. I think people want better. They just don't know how to achieve it.
I think people can do better, want better, and don't want to do the work to get better. So in essence, that
could definitely be a piece. Not wanting to do the work.
What do you call that?
I don't think that.
What do you call that, though? What do you call that?
I call that complacency.
Complacency, failure, all synonymous.
I'm not.
All synonymous.
I'm not even going there with you and that. We're just
You
gonna
want
have
to be
to,
nice. You want to
we
be
are
nice.
gonna have to agree to disagree on that one.
Okay, just don't tell people don't be failures. We do not accept failure in these parts.
So here's the thing: failure is not failing. It's when you refuse to get back up and you stay there. Because you can fail, get up, adjust, and learn from that fall. But it's when you sit in it, that's where the problems come.
So when you sit in failure and you're complacent and you're happy with failure,
I don't think they're ever happy.
You're a failure.
I don't think they're ever happy. I think they stay there, but you can be battered down and still not be happy with your situation.
So if you're battered down and you're not happy with your situation and you don't get back up to change your situation, you're complacent and you're comfortable being a failure. So
Not comfortable.
You're a
We're
failure.
gonna have to agree to disagree on that.
Okay, well, guess what? You failed to convince me about failure.
I'm not trying to convince you. I know there's no convincing.
Because you can't. Because there's a lot of people I just look at him like, you are a waste of DNA.
Oh no, Josh.
We all know a couple people.
We're moving on. We are moving
I think
on.
I'm a waste of DNA.
Now we are coming to the. Now here we go. It's advice time. I gotta get you off this podcast because you. I don't know. You're gonna have people in the comments on me. Like,
go ahead,
I don't know, he's crazy. I love him, but he be wilding out. That's why these fire nice episodes. There's very different outlooks. You want to jump in. I'm like, nah, you gotta have some sort of vision, some kind of plan. You telling people just jump in, jump in feet first. Some people are able to do that, but like I said, I think
like that.
I think you definitely want to have some sort of vision before you go, casting yourself in the water without a life vest. But all right, we're gonna give some people some advice. If you could give someone some advice, who wants to start a business, they may be scared, they may be wondering, where do they get started? What do they do? What should be my first steps? What would you tell them? What would you tell them?
First step is find something that you love when you do it, because it doesn't feel like work. Because if you're doing it and you're lamenting it, you're not going to put forth your best effort. It has to be something that you're doing, and even though you're doing it, you're happy that you're doing it, and you could do it without getting paid and be comfortable with it. Because then it's never really work. Like when you have to put in those long hours and you're grinding on a computer or you have deadlines and stuff, you embrace, in the words of a coach I once had, you embrace the suck. You know what I mean? You embrace the suck.
That makes sense. I get that one.
Like
a lot of people won't get that one, but I get that one.
Like if you're an athlete, the best athletes enjoy the practice, they enjoy the grind, they enjoy everything. So it's gonna be great,
I look at it like this. It's like when you're doing what you love, then the things that you're doing are not so strenuous. And I get that piece. So it's like for me, I love taking pictures. That's something that I love to do. So it's like, even if I wasn't getting paid for it, even if it wasn't going the way that I would have it to go, that's something that, because I do it and because I love to do it, it's like, it's not something that, even on those hard days, the passion and the love for it will continue to drive you, because it's like, it's something that you're passionate about. So it's like, even on those days where it's not going so well, even on those days where you're trying to figure out, where that next client's going to come from, it's like, it keeps you going because it's something that you love. It's something that you're passionate about. If you just do something for the money, sometimes when the money ain't there, you're not gonna feel very engaged to want to do it. It's not gonna be something that you're gonna want to run after, But because you're passionate about it, that definitely does keep you going. If I could give someone a piece, I'm gonna give you another piece if you want to give people something. I would say research. Once you figure out what you want to do, research the different steps of really trying to find out how to get your business started. Like if you want to start that LLC, like research like how you do it. What are some of the things that you got, some of the upfront costs? Like if you're thinking about getting into photography, if you think about starting a podcast, you're thinking about starting a clothing line, start thinking about, what are some of those upfront costs that you're gonna have to put out, because it like nothing good comes without a cost. That's what I will say. Nothing good comes without a cost. If you don't put nothing in, if it doesn't cost you something, then you're never going to be able to pull something out of it. And I don't care if you agree with me or not on that. That's just what it is. It's like it's going to cost you something, whether it's your sleep, your time, your money, your resources. You building this is going to come with a cost. It's going to come with a lot of frustration at times. It's going to come with people hating, because the minute you start getting somewhere, people are always, we talked about that earlier, people are always going to have something to say. So you got to get it in your mind that this is what you want to do, and there's not going to be anything that's going to stop you from really getting there.
I say you got to pay the cost to be the boss.
Yeah, and it's true. It's true. It's not always going to be peace and peachy. It's not always going to be, as lucrative as you want it to be. It definitely is going to come with a lot of things, but it's like with that, you just have to know, like, what it is that you're trying to do, and what it is that, you're trying to accomplish. And oftentimes, and I would say this is one thing that I think is very, very important, because I see a lot of people who have their business, whether it be in music, whether it be clothes, whether it be, whatever the case may be. And they'd be like, yo, it's like they'll start it and they'll be frustrated, because it's like they ain't seeing the support that they expect, especially from people who are close to them. They'll be like, yo, this one's not supporting me. This one doesn't believe in my vision, this, that, and the next. And one of the things that, I was fortunate to understand is this. It's like, I've come to the realization that people will never support you as much as you would expect them to. And this is the reason why. People oftentimes will not see the vision that you see for your company, for your business, for what you're trying to accomplish. So you have the vision, you have the goal of where you can see it get into God bless you if you have people who can see it the way that you see it. But I feel like God didn't give them the vision that he gave you. So you shouldn't expect people to have that same zeal and that same drive to push your business the way that you want it to push. Go on with your church finger.
If I can interrupt. 9 times out of 10, why people won't support you is because subliminally they are jealous of what you're doing.
Ooh.
You took the initiative and you took the energy to put yourself out there to try to move forward. So they won't support you because they didn't have that to do it with themselves. You know what I'm saying? They're not comfortable with themselves. That's why they can't support you, but they'll go support the next man. It's like, I know, it's like they know you, but they won't support you. And it's like, why would you not support me? Because if it was me, I would support you. But that just goes to show the content of your character as opposed to the content of theirs, which is something I've noticed. Like, for me, I can say I'm fortunate because my family will tell you I am a bully. I will say, listen, I am doing this. Give me your money. You are going to support me. Everybody doesn't have that in them. Everybody don't have that dog in them. Like,
it does help. It does help that you do have a good product.
Yeah, that does too. But see, I know that I can go to my friends, my real friends, and family and supporters, and they'll support me. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I find too, though, the people who will support you the most are people who don't know you.
That is so true.
People who don't know you personally, and that goes back to my thing of saying they don't know you and they don't fear your success. So that's why they don't mind supporting you. They don't fear you. They don't fear you getting ahead of them per se. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't want to be the cause of him becoming that multi-millionaire and I'm still here sitting in the hood or sitting at my house in an apartment miserable. You know what I'm saying? There's, for some reason, they're like, oh, I'm going to help him get ahead. No. It's like, yo,
it's that crab mentality, man. And it's sad.
We say it's crab mentality, but I just think it's you're scared of someone else's success because ultimately you feel like you don't have that ability to be that successful person.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's not. It doesn't dwell in the house of, oh, I'm going to stop you from getting ahead. Nah, we're all going to stay poor. It's like, okay, I can't be that individual and put myself out there like that to get to that next level. And it's like, nah, I just can't do it. And it's like it's almost like a self hate kind of sort of. It's like for me, somebody can come out with a pack of crayons, like, yo, I got these pack of crayons. Hey, I'll buy it from you. Smoke cigarettes, but I'm like, cigarette money. You know what I'm saying? If some kid has a CD, that's $5. I don't know if they still sell CDs anymore.
I don't think they sell CDs anymore.
But back in the day, kid be like, yo, I got $10. Want to buy my demo? I'm like, yo, I'll spend $10 on lunch. Here, I'll take it. Probably won't ever listen to it, but I just gave you $10.
At least you supported the movie.
You know, you're not out here robbing, stealing, or beating someone over the head. Here, take it. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to chase your dream. I want you to be successful. Go ahead, because if you're successful, it now makes it easier for you to help somebody else who's been in that position. And I think for me, I say I wouldn't help someone else who's in my lane or something, kind of full of feces, because I look at it as if I can help you, I'm going to help you. If you can learn from my mistakes or you can learn from my scars, I'm going to help you, because if you make it, now you can pull me up with you. Or you might have that business that becomes a multi-billion-dollar business, and you might be the guy to be able to give my daughter an internship to make her the next best thing. You know what I'm saying? Everything's interconnected.
I got a side question. And what you saying that just really brought it to mind. How important do you think collaborating with other creators is, especially in the field? Like, we're all in different fields. Like, I do photography, we do the podcast. We have the book and everything. There's a lot of different things that we do. You're a designer. With things like that, how important do you think it is to have people that you can collaborate with to help to see your business?
Collaborations are great. Collaborations are great, but with collaborations, you have to take two things into consideration. One, where are you? Because you don't want to be that weak link in a collaboration. You don't want to have someone feel like they're doing more in a collab than you are. You know what I'm saying? Two, you have to be wary of who you collab with. Because, for example, I started the clothing line Walk by Faith. So if I kind of team up with someone like a Cardi B or somebody whose image doesn't coincide with what my brand stands for, it does my brand an injustice. You know what I'm saying? So your collaboration might seem like a good collaboration, but it doesn't really stick with your brand. So you have to know your brand, know your target audience, know who you're trying to reach. And does this collaboration benefit both parties that are involved? Or does it benefit one person more so than the other? So you have to be wary of who you collab with and why you're collabing with them. Now, if it's a situation where it benefits both of you, great. If it only benefits one party as opposed to another, that's not a collaboration. That's basically you're using me. So you have to kind of be wary and conscious when it comes to collaborations. And so, like, for example, there are some collaborations that sound good to you, but you might have to throw it towards someone else and say, hey, if I was going to do this, what do you think if this happens? Then people go, I don't know. How does that relate to your brand? Or how does that I don't see it. It's always good to bounce things off of people who aren't in your lane. You know what I'm saying? Normal people like family, friends. or even somebody who's just an average, but you gotta be careful too when you bounce these ideas off people because people will steal your joints. People steal ideas all the time. People will steal. Benjamin Franklin, I believe, said man is motivated by self-interest. People will steal your joints, so you gotta be careful. And you always, oh, that's another thing. Have another church moment. Be careful who you share your ideas and your wants in terms of a business. Because we all have those individuals who I like to call the Eeyores, like from Winnie the Pooh, the Nancy's. And they'll tell you every reason and every excuse as to why you can't do something, as opposed to being that person behind you to wind you up like, yo, let's go get it, B. Do that.
Get after it.
Yeah. And then when you see those negative people, try to steer away from them because negative energy is like rust. It just
it's not good. It
just spreads.
You definitely want people to push you.
It's like a rash you can't get rid of. You don't want that. But don't get it twisted. When you're successful, they'll jump on a bandwagon if they think they can get something. They'll definitely jump on the bandwagon.
It's like they say, you have people who won't support you until it's popular to support you. Yeah. So I think we're gonna have to finish right here. But I want you to talk more about the brand. I see you got some of the apparel on that you can drop in, some of the merch on. Tell people about the merch. Tell them about the merch.
So number one thing, so I'm going to use my company as an example. Number one thing you want to do is brand your business. Branding is important. So for me, my company is called Walk by Faith, guided by principle. Whether you're Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, faith is 9 times out of 10, that's what we all operate our daily basis off of is faith. You know what I'm saying? And also the component is guided by principles because sometimes you have principles that don't necessarily align fully with your faith. For example, there's some religions that say homosexuality is wrong. You know what I'm saying? But your principles in you are like, yeah, it says that in the Bible, it says that here, but I can't hold that bias against that individual based on their sexual preference. You know what I'm saying? Some religions or some faiths have certain things in them that you might not find right or you not agree with. Those are not, you're guided by your own principles. Like you're based in your faith, but your principles will guide you in making your decisions and how you treat people and how you operate inside the world. You know what I mean? So yeah, you can walk in faith, but you also have to be guided by principles. And it's not based off of just any religious sect because faith guides all of us in everything we do. There's times where you're at your worst and faith is going to be what guides you through that. It's like, yo, I'm in the storm. I know God has something better for me, or I know the powers that be has something better than me. And this is my man, Chuck.
Oh, it's Chuck. He got Chucks on.
Chuck got Chucks on. Every religion has like some form of being like an angel per se, whether, you know what I'm saying, it's God's angels, Allah's angels. Everybody has some kind of divine spiritual being in their faith. And so I came up with Chuck. And Chuck has like his own little meaning. He's like with my brand, you know what I'm saying? He has a little rose because he's spreading love as opposed to just violence. And Chuck has on Chucks because he got a little hood to him. Chuck is representative of, that's what you walk by. You walk by faith. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta, I say, lace up your big boy boots and just go through it, you know? And so with branding, it comes with walk by faith, guided by principles. The logo goes with the brand. And then your mission statement and everything else also goes with the brand that I have. And so that's branding. That's one of the key components to any business.
So where can they get your merch? Tell them where they can get your merch, man. Where can get your merch?
Right now I just did the Instagram. Okay. I have a kid working on my whatchamacallit, website. And see, this is what I'm saying about jumping in with 2 feet. You know what I'm saying? Normally people would already be prepared, but there's already been merch out there. So for me, I kind of work backwards. It's like I generated the buzz before I generated the product.
So with that, like if someone they wanted to get a merch pack, would you rather have them email you? What would you rather have them do?
You can email me. You can hit me on the Instagram. Oh yes, the Instagram is walk_by_faith_clothing. So you can just direct message me on that for now, and we can get what you want. You know, if we have a couple of custom pieces, we could do anything. Like if you have a color scheme that you want, it might cost you a little bit, but we can make sure
people pay for what they want.
We can make sure you fly when you do what you do.
And that's the thing.
And for me, like I said, I jumped in. I've had clothing companies before, and I'd be in them, but I wasn't really motivated, or I had the energy to just push it. I was like, okay, build the brand, sell it, keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Serious.
Final thoughts. We just gonna end here. We're gonna have to do another episode on this because there's a lot that goes along with this, you know. But like you said,
hey, can we have the people like in the comment section? If there's a topic that you want us to talk about,
I think sometimes I be feeling like the people are scared to talk.
You could tell us. I'm not gonna judge you. I'm lying. I'm probably gonna talk trash about you, but it doesn't matter. Enjoy yourself. If you have something that you want us to talk about, or you want us to address, or you feel like you can come on, you want to be on the podcast.
Oh, you can be on the podcast.
But we must forewarn you when you come on here. Be prepared to get ping pong.
You have to have the real. We will be real about anything.
We will be real, and we will be honest. We will try to be welcoming. But I don't know. The dog in me comes out.
I don't know. We'll keep him under wraps. But we thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget, death and life are in the power of your tongue. Make sure you speak life. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'm sure we're going to be doing another episode to go along with this. We want to really jump into this entrepreneurship and really have y'all get encouraged if you want to start a business to do it. I seen that church finger go up again. Give them a final piece. We got a rap. Give them something. You want something else in there? I see your church.
Always walk by faith. Stay true to yourself, and never let your principles be swayed by another individual or situation.
I like that.
That is all.
I like that. So we thank y'all, and we'll see y'all soon. Shout out to y'all. We love y'all. See y'all soon.
Hit the like button. Don't be scared to hit the like button. It's okay.
Like, subscribe.
It's
and
free.
Comment to be a part of these conversations.
Even if you don't like us, comment. We don't care.
I care. He doesn't care. I care.
Listen.
Have a great week. We're kicking him off. Have a great week. We'll talk to y'all soon.